As coronavirus cases rise, the dilemma over whether to keep children in school for in-person instruction versus keeping them at home to just ride out the pandemic. That remains one of the biggest stress points for parents everywhere. And of course, Rebecca, it's not just the parents and the students who are stressed here.
That's right. According to a poll of 1,300 Illinois teachers, more than a third say they have considered quitting because of COVID-19 induced stress. Let's bring in Becky Pringle, president of the National Education Association. Becky, great to have you back with us today. And I know the big headline here, at least in New York City, is that this city has decided to reopen public schools. They're going to try it again next week. Of course, a lot of schools across this country remain closed to in-person learning. What are you hearing from teachers? What do they want? What do they need?
Amy, TJ, it is so good to be with you. I've had the opportunity to talk to teachers and our support staff all over this country. And I can tell you, as a teacher of science for over 30 years, there is nothing we want more than to be with our students. We love them and we know how important in-person learning is. But we've been saying since the beginning of this pandemic, we have to do it safely and we have to do it equitably. They are exhausted. They are disappointed, honestly, Amy, in the federal government not taking action since May, when the House of Representatives passed the HEROES Act to actually provide them with the resources they need for PPE and proper sanitation and distancing, and making sure that they had the time to collaborate, to have plans in place for not if our students or educators got sick, but when. That's what they are continuing to advocate for, and they need the federal government to act right now.
How much are our kids suffering in terms of their education and their development by not being in the classroom every day?
We know that our students, particularly our most vulnerable students, we know from the beginning of this pandemic that our Black and Brown, our Indigenous students have suffered greatly. They have not only suffered from the pandemic, from COVID-19, but the fallout from that, the economic crisis. And so we know that many of our students, our most marginalized students, are going through trauma. We know that we have to pay attention to their social and emotional development and learning. And so we are working to try to develop the skills for all of our educators to provide those in this moment. We want to be back with our students. What we have been saying forever is to help us provide the resources, help us to close the digital divide that we know existed before this pandemic. Those are the kinds of things that have to be done. And our parents and community members can join with us to demand what our students need and what they deserve.
Yeah, and Becky, you said teachers need the federal government to act now. Obviously, there's a big transition in the White House coming up. Have you been in touch with the Biden team coming in to talk about what type of support specifically you need and want?
Amy, I have, and actually we talked through the election too. You know, our 3 million National Education Association members worked so hard to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And we know that the president-elect and the vice president-elect will work with educators to make sure that our students have what they need. So we've talked to them about ensuring that our students not only are safe, but that we're dealing with issues of equity that have existed forever. And so we are talking about racial justice and economic justice. We're talking about closing those access and opportunity gaps. And the Biden-Harris transition team has been working with us to determine what our students need and to demand that this country finally live up to its promise and look at public education as the common good, as the foundation of this democracy that it is.
Who do you want Biden to pick as the Secretary of Education? Give me a name, and have you passed that name along to the Biden transition team?
So we have been talking about criteria,
okay.
TJ, somebody who understands racial and social justice, somebody who understands that education is the foundation of this democracy. And let me tell you, TJ, our very own Lily Eskelsen Garcia is someone who fits that bill. Former Teacher of the Year, who has fought her entire life for racial justice. And she is one of the names that is in consideration, and she is one of our own.
Well, all right then. We will see how that goes. And thank you so much for your time today. My parents are educators, and so I have a special place in my heart for you guys. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you, TJ.
You have educators in your family?
My mom was a teacher. My grandmother was, and I've got aunts and uncles, all teachers. So, yes.
Look at this.
The passion, though, you saw her passion.
It's
We need more
always
of
there.
that. That was a beautiful thing to witness.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Pringle.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.